Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Revolution Mindset Program, session 17, where today we are going to be looking at creating revolutionary habits. Now, if you're tuned in, please say hi, let me know you're watching, and always please share your wins, your achievements throughout the past week. We want to celebrate what you are creating here together. We'll celebrate with some confetti, so share your wins over the past week, no matter how big, how small. Share what you've been achieving so we can keep that momentum going. We can keep that energy flowing throughout these 52 weeks. So drop your achievements in the comments box below. I can see Adele's tuned in. Thank you so much for being here. It's wonderful to see you here. Thank you so much for being here, Adele, as always. And let's take a look at what we're going to cover in today's session. So first of all, we're going to look at the importance of habits. Why are habits important? Why do we need to talk about them? Why do we need to start to implement them into our life? We're going to take a look at morning and evening routines, and we're going to go in depth with these in our practical workshop, which is in 30 minutes time. We're going to start to assess and analyze and score our morning and evening routines and look at ways in which we can improve this to increase our productivity and our efficiency. And then finally, we're going to look at the 5 revolutionary habits that we all need to implement into our lives if we really want to make it a success. If we really want to achieve those goals, if we really want to achieve the vision that we've set ourselves, then there are 5 habits that we need to make sure that we do on a daily basis. So just coming back to the comments, I can see Vijaya's here. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's wonderful to see you here, Vijaya. Thank you for taking out the time to be here. Vijaya saying, I did my planned reading on schedule. That's absolutely fantastic. Let's share with some confetti. You did your planned reading on schedule. That is absolutely amazing. Thank you for sharing that, Adele. Adrian's tuned in. It's wonderful to see you here. Thank you so much for tuning in, Adrian. Won't answer too much as I'm baking. No, if you're listening to me while you're baking, that's absolutely fantastic. Thank you for multitasking and thank you for being here as part of this live today. And good luck with your baking as well. So if you're tuned in, please feel free to share your wins over the past week. I can't emphasize enough the importance of having that energy, that positive energy, reflecting on what we've achieved and positively reinforcing ourselves to continue to move forward. So please drop that below. So just to sum up last session, so we're moving away from environment and our internal environment into habits. So the next 4 weeks, we're going to be looking at habits. So last week we covered that a pessimist will see the smallest of problems and the biggest of opportunities, and an optimist will see the smallest of opportunities in the biggest of problems. And we talked about this when we start to look at how we can start to increase and raise our vibrational frequency, and it all starts with how we perceive the world. And if we change the way we perceive the world, we'll change what we receive as well. So what we perceive, we receive, and we have a choice. We can be a pessimist and we can look for the small problems, or we can be an optimist and we can look for those small opportunities, and then we can grow them into grand success. So that's what we covered in our last session. So today we're moving on from that and we're going to start to look at habits. But before I move on, I'm going to take a look and see if anybody shared any more wins so we can celebrate with you today. So nothing coming through at the moment, which is absolutely great. But if you are here and you want to share your win and you want to celebrate that with us in this live, then drop it in the comments box below. If you're watching on the replay, share your wins as well. We want to hear your energy. We want to hear your success. We want to see how much you are achieving over this year. We are now almost 4 months into the year, almost a third of the way through 2023. How amazing is that? How fascinating is that? How scary is that? That 4 months are almost to an end. We're almost a third of the way through 2023. How are you performing right now? What have you achieved in this third of 2023? Are you en route with your goals? Are you a little bit behind? What do you need to do so you can start to catapult yourself forward to really get the success that you're setting out to achieve this year? Just some things to reflect on. But it all starts with our habits. And I want to open up with this quite large quote from Mahatma Gandhi. And you probably heard this before, but he says that keep your thoughts positive because your thoughts become your words. Keep your words positive because your words become your behavior. Keep your behavior positive because your behavior becomes your habits. Keep your habits positive because your habits become your values. Keep your values positive because your values become your destiny. And ultimately, destiny becomes our reality. And you can see there that habits play a key part in how we shape our values. And our values are what drive us. Our values are what lead us towards our success, that lead us towards our goals and our visions. So we need to keep our habits positive in order to keep our values positive, because ultimately it's our values that shape our destiny. So just take a moment to reflect on that. If you've never heard that before, then it's a really good time just to spend a few moments just to think about what Mahatma Gandhi is sharing here. The other thing we learn, and we've already covered a lot of this in our previous sessions, is that everything begins in the mind. So first of all, we need to keep our thoughts positive, because our thoughts become our words. Our words shape our behavior, and you can see the knock-on effect all the way down to habits, values, and destiny. But today we're going to be covering the habits part of this quote from Mahatma Gandhi. So jump back to the comments, anything coming through. Vijaya is sharing that I spent time writing poems, staying active as part of Active April. That's beautiful. You've been getting yourself out there, getting active, and you've been writing a lot of poems. So I'd celebrate that today with some confetti with you, Vijaya. Thank you so much for sharing that. It's really wonderful to see the progress that you're making, both with Active April and with your poetry writing as well. Wonderful stuff. Okay, so question for you guys. What good habits do you currently have? If you reflect on your day, what are you good at implementing every day? What good habits? What do you do on a daily basis that you never miss? There's some form of exercise, some form of meditation. Is it, for example, Vijaya, do you write every day? Are you writing every day for your poems? Adele, are you reading every day? You mentioned you got planned reading on schedule. What good habits do you currently have? Let me know in the comments box before we go on to and talk about the importance of our habits, especially when we implement good ones. So what good habits do you have? And if you're tuned in now, I can see a lot of people tuning in. If you're tuned in, please feel free to share your achievements over the past week or two so we celebrate them with you today and keep that energy and that momentum going. And if you're watching the replay, drop them in the comments. So what good habits do you have? I'm going to come back to your good habits just a second as I move on to look at the importance of habits. So there's 5 key reasons. There's lots of reasons why we should install good habits, why we should focus, pay attention, start to review our habits in our morning and our evening routines and whatever habits we have in between as well. One is that habits provide structure and consistency to our daily routine, making it easier for us to accomplish our goals. Now, if we build habits, we are going to make progress. Through short-term changes, we can create long-term success towards our goals. So habits provide structure and consistency. Habits help us establish a routine. That routine can also increase our productivity and our efficiency. Now, if we have a good morning routine, we have a good evening routine, we have good habits every day, we are cleaning up our energy, we are increasing our energy, and with an increase in energy we'll increase our productivity and efficiency as well. Habits help us stay organized too. So the third one there, habits improve mental and physical health, especially if those habits are some form of physical exercise, some form of meditation. These good habits can really improve our physical and our mental health. The fourth one is habits build self-discipline and self-control. Now, a lot of us lack self-discipline. A lot of us can lack self-control. That's why we struggle to make progress. But if we have a habit that we set every day and we commit to hitting it every single day, we are going to build self-discipline. If we can do it with something small, we can then start to increase that self-discipline to something much greater. So habits help us build that self-discipline. And finally, habits lead to long-term success. If we can keep those habits up for a long period of time, and we're going to talk about the period of time in a different day when we start to look at how we can implement habits and successfully install habits into our lives. But in the long run, it can lead to long-term success. If you do this, let's say if you exercise every day for 3 months, you are going to see long-term positive results. You're going to see a change in your physical ability, in your appearance. It's going to help you succeed in whatever goals it is. So habits lead to long-term success. Now I'm going to come back and see what good habits that you have in your day-to-day. So Adrian is saying he makes his bed. That's a wonderful habit, a wonderful win for the day. You want to learn self-discipline, start with making your bed every day. Just the satisfaction of getting that one win creates that energy to spiral for the rest of the day. Adele says exercise and get up early, less screen time, better in-person connections, keeping up with humor and laughter, staying random. Lots of great habits there. Thank you so much for sharing that, Adele. Really appreciate it. If you are tuned in now, share your good habits. What good habits do you currently have? Adrian says finally started pasta production. What's pasta production? If you could learn a little bit more of that. Is that more pasta through your business? Is that a habit you're trying to install into your business as part of your baking? And he's saying week after putting off for months. Excellent, really good stuff. So Rangi, it's wonderful to see you here. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you want to share what good habits you do on a daily basis, we would love to hear from you. So let me know in the comments box what habits you have. Do you exercise? Do you read? Do you journal? Do you meditate? What types of meditation? What books do you read? Go into a little bit of detail, share it with us. Vijay saying my daily habits include keeping my space clean, writing, being grateful, and saying a thank you for what I have been gifted, staying active, spending time with my plants. I really love that. Some really good habits in there. Spending time with your plants, staying active is another good one, and gratitude as well, showing what you are being thankful for. Thank you so much for sharing that, Vijaya. Really, really appreciate you spending the time to write that out for us and share that with us today. Some great habits being shared. If you are tuning in, please feel free to share yours. So that's the importance habits. So once we understand how important all our habits are, why do we struggle? Why do we struggle to put good habits into our life? Well, one reason could be we adopt habits that are too ambitious. Now, I've fallen guilty of this in the past. I have adopted habits that are too ambitious. Maybe you want to start to get fit. Maybe you want to start to get healthy, and you set yourself a habit of wanting to run for 40 minutes to an hour every day. You don't have the energy, you don't have the effort, you kind of get up, you struggle. Maybe you do it for the first 3 days and then you give up, you quit. And that's maybe because the habits that we're trying to adopt are too ambitious. Instead of going for 60 minutes, maybe we should set it just for 10 minutes. Maybe we're trying, the length of time's too long, or maybe the reality of us being able to do that habit is too ambitious too. We don't have the ability or the capability to do that right now. So we need to start small and start to increase that habit. Second, we prefer what is easy over what is right. As human beings, we always want the easiest route. We want to do what is easy over what is right. So instead of doing a habit of a meditation, maybe on an evening, we choose to watch a series on Netflix because it's a lot easier, a lot less effort. So we prefer to choose easy habits over the right habits that are going to benefit us. So there's a second reason why we struggle. Or maybe we just lack self-discipline. Maybe we know what is right. Maybe we don't choose these bad habits. We don't have a lot of bad habits in our life. Our habits aren't too ambitious. We just lack the self-discipline, the way in which we communicate with ourselves, the way we talk to ourselves. We cannot push ourselves to build in these habits. Maybe we don't want the habit enough. Maybe we've adopted that habit from somebody else because they said, this is what you need to do on a day-to-day basis. You need to do this. You must do this. And when we're being forced to do something, or it's not something we really want, we're just doing it because we're being told, that can also affect our self-discipline as well. So third reason why we struggle is we lack self-discipline. And the fourth is maybe we lack accountability. Maybe we don't have the right accountability functions. When we start to do things together, when we have that additional support, it makes those habits a lot easier. So maybe we have lack of accountability. So that are 4 reasons why we struggle. So you mentioned your good habits, and some of you mentioned a bit of routines, but what do your daily routines look like? Do people have a morning routine and an evening routine that they stick to every day? Do they have a specific routine that maybe they do on their lunch hour? What routines do you have, and what do they look like? Do you get up every morning to go and exercise, have a healthy breakfast? Do you meditate, gratitude on an evening? Do you take time out every day to go to the gym? What do your daily routines look like? What is the positivity that's coming out of your daily routines? And whilst you're sharing that, I'm going to share the importance of having these routines. So if we want to implement habits, we first of all need to start to think of the best time to do our routines, to implement these habits, to spend time on these great habits that we've just talked about. And that is both in the morning and in the evening. It's perfect to implement good times when we get up and before we go to bed. To get up a little bit earlier, if you struggle you're too busy in the morning, you can always get up an hour earlier and spend an hour on yourself, invest with the routines and the habits that you want that are going to set you up for great energy for the rest of the day. Which leads on to point 2 there, that the morning routine, we have a successful morning routine. And we're going to go deep into this in the practical workshop in 15 minutes, where we're actually going to assess and score your morning and evening routines and see how we can start to improve that. But our morning routine can set ourselves up for success for the rest of the day. We get some wins under our belt, we get our energy aligned with the day, we can really take off and lead into the day with a good energy, which will carry through the rest of that day. The evening routine is a perfect time for reflection. It's a perfect time for us to meditate, to journal, to show gratitude or express gratitude, just to sit back, reflect on the day, what went well, what can we improve tomorrow, what else do I need to do? How do I need to reshape or realign my vision? How do I need to alter my goals? At the end of every day is a good time for reflection. It's those routines that can help us reflect and learn a little bit more about ourselves. And finally, if we can implement a morning routine and we can implement an evening routine, it will increase our productivity, it will increase our efficiency, our energy, and our success. So if you want to succeed at your goals, if you want to build your self-discipline, if you want to increase your productivity every day, then implementing successful morning and evening routines are key to that success. If you want to get more done, it starts in the morning, you carry that success into evening, and then you reflect on how you can improve the next day. So morning and evening routines are really, really important. Vijay is saying all routines are in the evening or at night. Weekdays, that's absolutely fantastic that you have that routine, Vijaya. Evening routines can be really powerful. Start with one. If you don't have a morning routine, if you don't have an evening routine, start with one. And I would recommend, a lot of people say start with a morning routine because you can set up your energy, you can get your energy right for the rest of the day. That's fantastic, but I would advise you to start with an evening routine first. The reason being is because if you get a right evening routine, you get yourself a good rest, a good sleep to set yourself up for a good morning routine. So for me, I would start with the evening routines first, because your evening routine will affect the energy that you carry into the next day. If you try and start with a morning routine or a good morning routine with a bad evening routine, you're going to find it really difficult to build that routine in the morning because you haven't got your evening right. So just bear that in mind. Start with an evening routine if you don't have either of these in place. It does say no set routine, but flexible, getting up early, starting the day slow. Gym is 3 times a week at different times, reading at night before sleep. So you do have some routines there. You go to the gym 3 times, but you stay flexible. And that's one tip that I have with everybody. Try and stay flexible. If you're not a person that can stick to routines, at least stick to your habits throughout that day. So for example, one thing I can't do, I can't get up in the morning and exercise first thing. I know the benefits of it. I understand the benefits of getting up and doing a workout. But for me, I just can't do it. When I get up in the morning, I lack that energy at first thing. I need to have a shower. I need to have breakfast. I need to get my energy up that an exercise. So instead of setting myself a specific time of day, I just have a list of the habits that I need to get out. And when my time's flexible, when I find that time, I get that done. So I exercise at random times, but I exercise every single day. One day it might be 10 o'clock in the morning because I have no meetings. The next day it might be 5 p.m. in the evening. Sometimes I do it at 8, 9, but I just don't set myself a routine. So Adele, having that flexibility can be powerful. But if you're a routine person, start with the routines and see how that works for you. So that's evening and morning routines. So the reason why we're talking about habits today, and we're going to go detailed in the workshop in 10 minutes where we start to assess this in more detail. I can have the conversation with you about what you're currently working on at the moment. But the point is that our habits are what shape our reality. Ultimately, our habits will shape our reality. So with small short-term changes, we can create long-term success. Now, remember that with small short-term changes, we can create long-term success. So small changes today, small changes tomorrow will tee us up for long-term success in the long run. And the other point I want to add here is it's not just good or beneficial to do these good habits when we're feeling bad. We need to keep those habits up even when we're in a good state. It's the best time to do it is when we're feeling good. Don't stop because you've reached a certain goal. Keep those daily habits going. You feel like your mind is clear. You feel like you're in a good place. Keep those habits going. A lot of people fall into the trap of building these habits when they're struggling to get themselves to some point of success, feel like they've achieved growth, feel like they've achieved some results, so they stop. They stop because they feel like they've done it. But habits are continuous, and you want to build, and expand and accelerate your personal growth. Keep those habits going even when you're doing well. So, what habits do you need to install? So from everything that we've talked about today, the slides that we've just gone through, what habits do you need to install in your life? What do you want to install? What are you trying to install that you are finding difficult? Or do you need to implement some kind of meditation into your life? whether it be physical meditation, whether it be standing meditation, whether it be seated, whether it be whatever type of meditation. Do you need to install that into your life? Do you need to be more grateful? Do you need to install the habit of gratitude? Do you need to read more or listen to podcasts? Or what is it that you need to implement? So Vijaya is saying sustainability is the key. I found that to be the harder part. Sustainability is key. It really is. And we need to remember to keep those habits going, to keep them sustainable, to make ourselves resilient as well. We need to keep up those habits even when we're feeling really good. We can miss 1 day, miss 2 days. It's not going to make a massive difference. It doesn't make any difference on us. It's just when we miss those days, when the missing becomes the habit, that's when we start to really suffer. So what habits do you need to install, or what habits are you trying to install? Do you need to implement more reading, listen to more podcasts? And the habits, physical habits doesn't necessarily have to be the gym or running. Sports, maybe some hobbies can be good habits. That can be a way of meditation. Sarangi saying thank you everyone, good advice. And thank you, Sarangi. What habits do you want to install into your life? Let us know. It'd be good to hear from you too. So whilst I'm waiting for your habits, I'm going to move on to the next slide, and we're going to start to talk about the 5 revolutionary habits. So if we want to succeed, we should have all 5 of these, but we have a choice of which of these we want to implement in our life. But if you really want to succeed, every day you should be looking to tick off 5 habits. 1 physical habit, which is some form of exercise, yoga, walking, sport, something that gets our body moving, something that helps us get out there, gives us that dopamine hit, that gets us out there and starts to release our endorphins and really get us out there. So physical habit, we need to have that physical habit in our life. The next one is a growth habit. We need to define what growth habit we want, whether that be reading books, personal growth, articles, things like that. If you don't like to read, then podcasts, listen to podcasts, watch some videos, motivational videos on YouTube, listen to some Audible books. But we need to tend to have a growth habit on a daily basis. It's going to help grow our knowledge, our learning, our thinking. That will help. The third is a creative habit. We need to have some form of creative habit in our life, whether that be some form of art, some form of writing, some form of building, whatever it is. A creative habit can really help enhance our success as well. The fourth one is a meditative habit. So some form of meditation. This doesn't have to be sat on a cushion with your legs crossed and your fingers in the air. It can be anything that brings you to the present moment. People can meditate through cooking. People can meditate by taking a bath. People can meditate by just sitting around, good energy, creating candles, having a tea around candles. Some people can meditate through guided meditations, but some form of meditative habit that allows you to sit with yourself and just observe what's going on for you, allow you to feel your emotions, allow you to be present in the moment. So important that we have that type of habit too. And the fifth is a reflective habit, some form of reflection on our life on a daily basis. What went well, what didn't go well during that day, through journaling, through maybe just expressing gratitude on an evening by saying, the 5 things or 10 things that you're grateful for that happened that day. Some kind of reflective habit will really help charge you towards your success. So there's the 5 revolutionary habits that we must have: physical habit, a growth habit, a creative habit, a meditative habit, and a reflective habit. Now, on that note, which of these are you lacking in your day-to-day life? Do you have a physical habit, a growth habit, a creative habit, a meditative habit, and a reflective habit every single day? And you got to find the right habit for you. So the reason why I haven't said you need to exercise every day, you need to go to the gym every day, you need to do reading every day, because we're all different. We all learn different. We all are attracted to different things. But as long as we're getting up and we're being physical, as long as we're getting up there, we're exercising, we're stretching our body, that's important. As long as we're growing, we're learning more about ourselves, we're learning more about the world, we're investing in our growth. That's the growth habit. Creative habit, the ability to expressing how we feel, expressing our emotions through creativity is really important. We're meditating, we're allowing ourselves that time to sit with ourselves and really understand what's going on for us and observing what's going on for us. And then 5, we're doing some form of reflection to understand where we might be going wrong and what we're doing right and how we can continue to grow and improve the next day. So Sarangi is saying, I'm not doing exercise, but I'm doing a lot of work. So try and fit in that exercise, even if it's just for 10 minutes, 5 minutes, just going for a walk on your break. A lot of us can get sucked into, we've got too much work, we don't have time to exercise. It doesn't have to be half an hour, doesn't have to be an hour. As long as you're getting into the habit of just getting out and stretching your legs is a start. So 5-10 minute break to go for a walk can be really beneficial. Vijaya is saying, habits I need to install: spend more time with people who matter to me, improve my sleep. And again, that's a good habit there. You spending more time with the people who matter. If you're working too much, are you spending time and giving time to those who matter? That's a habit as well, because that increases our energy if we're spending time with the people that matter. Adele says, listen to podcasts, walking outside in the garden. That's really wonderful. Some good things there. Adele's saying that she needs to do something creative, not doing that currently. So think about, Adele, what creative habit do you like? You don't have to be good at that habit. Just what is it that will allow you to express your creativity, express your emotions, express your feeling? This could be through poetry. Vijaya mentioned poetry earlier on. It could be through sketching. It could be through art. It could be through building something. Any form of creativity. It could be painting, something like that, just to tap into a creative side. Adrian is saying, not sure if this counts. I sit with classical music, incense, and candles and reflect on the day. That can be a good meditative exercise and a reflective exercise as well. And maybe you're combining them both together, which is really wonderful. Having that surrounding, that space for you to sit, connect with yourself. And then if you're using your mind to reflect on the day and think what went well and didn't go well, you'll turn it into a reflective habit, which is really wonderful. And then what I would recommend, if you want to build and extend on that, start to journal some of your reflections. Maybe you do that already, but just journal some of the reflections that you have when you're sat in that space. That space that you're creating sounds really wonderful. Aaron says, I go for either a walk or a run in the morning, and I can feel the difference in my day. 100%. If you can do it in your day, it's fantastic. I can see the benefit, the feeling that you get and the energy you get if you really your exercise, your physical habit done first thing in the morning. I just struggle a lot with it, but there is huge benefit if you can do that. If you're a morning person, go for it. Vijay is saying, I need to install a growth habit, meditative habit for every day. That's wonderful. Try and start off small. Listen to a TED talk, listen to a small YouTube video. When you're commuting, when you're traveling, try and just put on an Audible, something like that. Just 5-10 minutes a day. Start small, and you can build on that. That's wonderful. Adrian says, I recently started going to bed earlier at 8. That helps. Yep, going to bed early can help for a good morning routine and setting yourself up. That's wonderful. And Adrian's also said, I started spending more time on my own, and I have recently started baking bread in the morning for the house. That's wonderful. Great habit that you can give to those, your family, through the bread that you're baking as well. So really wonderful stuff that's coming through. It's great that you're reflecting, you're starting to understand the good habits that you currently have and where you might be falling short and where you need to implement further habits to success. So the other question we need to think about for today is, what habits do you need to remove? Now, one of the blocks that we mentioned earlier on today is that we tend to go for what is easy over what is right for us. So when we go for the easy stuff, they tend to be bad habits: bad eating, watching too much and binge watching Netflix, could be smoking, lack of exercise. Getting too much caught up in our work and being busy is also a bad habit. So we need to identify what habits are holding us back, that's stopping us from succeeding. Maybe we have a habit of going out partying and drinking every Friday and Saturday. That's not affecting us in the routine, our health, and our success. We need to remove that. How do we replace that? So what habits do you also need to remove? So we looked at the 5 revolutionary habits that you need to install, but we need to make space for that. So what do we need to remove in order to put that in? So just a reflective question. And this week's challenge, so if you've been watching us for a while, I give you a week challenge every week. This week's challenge is to trade an unconstructive habit. So whether that be binge watching Netflix every night, drinking on a Friday evening, or it could be smoking or whatever, trade an unconstructive habit, something that's not helping you right now, for one of the revolutionary habits that we've just mentioned, and start to implement it daily. So replace your Friday night of drinking with a night in where you're going to study, learn more about yourself, listen to some audibles, pick up a book on personal growth, or maybe instead of watching Netflix, you're going to choose to listen to a podcast instead. Trade that habit. Identify the unconstructive habit and trade it for one of the revolutionary ones that we've just mentioned. And as I mentioned, today we are going into our Putting It Into Practice workshop. We're going to go deeper in there into our routines. So we're actually going to score and assess our routines. So we're going to get a score. We're going to look at and review our whole day. and look at how we can start to improve it, where we can implement these new habits. And we're going to have a discussion around some of the most powerful habits that we've adopted, because there's a lot of good stuff out there, a lot of ways we can build it. Then next week, we're going to look at the 4 laws of habit building, which comes from James Clear's Atomic Habits. So if you haven't read that book, then this is going to be new to you. It's some really great information on how you can start to build your habits and implement them and make sure you succeed. If you have read the book, then you can come along and you can share your thoughts, perspective, and experience on the book and the content that we're going to be sharing. And if you're interested to catch up on all the replays, this is session 17. We've got 16 replays. We've got another X amount. We've got 52 in total sessions together with practical workshops, with the support from myself in the growth feed that we have in there. You can join my coaching room at hub.coachingminds.co.uk. You can find my room under the coaching room section, and you can become a revolutionary. Now, on that note, we've got a couple of minutes before we go into the practical workshop. Does anybody have any questions from anything we've covered today? Any help or support that they need on any of the habits that they're trying to implement? Adele's saying eating habits and limit on what reels I watch and the time spent. Yeah, eating habits can be really, really bad. I fall guilty of them as well, Adele. When you're working so hard, you don't have time to cook. It's a lot easier to order a pizza or Chinese or something like that whilst you're working through. So I can resonate with that one. And I can't resonate with reels. I haven't got the fascination addiction on reels yet, but I know a lot of people do. They spend a lot of time through reels, which is great. Okay, so quiet in the comments box, fantastic. Means that I explained a lot and there's no questions coming through. So I just want to thank everybody who has spent their time here today. I appreciate you being here. If you're watching this every Tuesday with me, well, not watching it with me, but if you're watching me while I put this content across, then that's a good habit. It's a weekly habit that you have for your growth habit, the revolutionary growth habit. So thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate your time, your energy, lots of input, lots of wonderful sharing from everybody in here, which is absolutely wonderful. Sarangi, Adele, Adrian, Vijaya, everybody who's tuned in and contributed. It's been a really wonderful session, and I look forward to connecting with you next Tuesday when we look at the Revolution Mindset. We look at the 4 laws of building habits. I'll see you next week if I don't see you in the workshop right now. See you all soon. Thank you.